Oh, it worked. Yay. I'm always excited when it actually works. It's kind of sad, right? Okay, cool. There. All right, I'm going to take a little sip and then get into what we're going to get into. All right, so I could be talking about a million different things. I realize that. And you're probably like, why are you talking about nonsense? Look, there's so much going on in the world. I could use a little escapism. I don't know about you. Oh, hey, Green Eyed Mama. I just emailed you. No way. That's a first. I'll be so interested to see what you wrote. I'm going to check that out first thing. Is it anything you want me to see now? Because I have my phone. I could look at it now if you like. If you wanted me to share anything. So yeah, I know I could be talking about a million other things right now. What's going on in the world? The new pope, the day that he's being inaugurated being the same day that another pope was martyred. Um, Leo being the lion that devours, but also being the Lion of Judah. Leo also being law enforcement officer, um, which has a personal connection to me and that person who came around our family in 2019 or 2018, I'm sorry, and changed our lives and told me in confidence, I guess, that he was a fallen one. Always had to make note that he was a Leo, a Leo, a Leo. And I'm like, why is he saying that? And why is he always showing me his ID? And why is my husband's other friend always showing me his birth certificate? And why are they waving those around? Well, here's the thing I just realized their birth certificates were different than mine. They actually had their like original copies and they weren't all capitalized. Theirs were actually typed in and done the right way. I think theirs actually has like a capital and then lowercase. Mine obviously does not have that, but I didn't even have my copy at that time. Um, Anyways, he always said I'm Leo, Leo, I'm a Leo, this, that, and the other. And that's a Cancer sign. It's not a Leo. So he meant law enforcement officer. That's probably why he had a federal carry license. It's probably why he was also on the screen. See, I'm seeing that people who are actors are also oftentimes carrying, and they're also carrying because they're some type of officer in our military industrial complex. They're actors, but they're also CIA because who best to cross enemy lines other than actors? They are always going everywhere to make movies. So all of these people are enmeshed in all of these different alphabet agencies, and I'm like, okay, I've got to get out of this for a bit. And then I saw that pig video that I shared yesterday on the channel. Now my personal life is still a mess. I'm sitting here thinking, like, what can I do to wake up my family, and like how badly I need time away from this situation. I'm a pacifist. I have no desire to do harm to anyone else or myself. Um, but I need a break. I need to be away from people. And there's nothing being done to me, at least that I can prove right now at this time, but it's the negligence. It's the like, you exist, but we're going to act like you don't exist. And I'm going to accuse you of being all these terrible things when I know you're obviously not those things, and you're obviously not doing those things because you have no life. So obviously you're not a narcissist, and obviously you don't think the world revolves around you because you have no life. And I don't know if people can be woke up. I'm trying to figure out like what happened en masse to everybody at the same time. And then I see it all happens at the same time that my family was traumatized, and that's why I do this. There's something in us that does co-create our reality. Now, I'm not saying we are God, okay? Christ said we are little g gods. We're not supposed to be able to supersede other people's free will, and we're not supposed to try to manipulate their free will. There's something about us that co-creates our free will, and that's why I do this. Because if you traumatize the wrong person, all of that energy could come out and echo forth in a really nasty butterfly effect, so to speak. I hope that makes sense. And I can speak in different ways. If the words I use don't make sense to you, tell me and I'll use different ones. Words are something I'm familiar with. Um, and if I'm not always looking at the camera, please don't like sit here and dissect every little thing that I do because I'm not an actress. So I'm not used to like staring at an inanimate object like it's a person. You know what I mean? Like we judge each other by things like that. Oh, that person must be guilty of this, that, the other, when most regular people don't stare at one-eyed lenses all the time for like their lives. That's not how we behave. So, anyways, hi, Repent Now. It's nice to see you here. Okay, so I guess I'm gonna be done rambling, but I couldn't figure out what happened en masse, and I see that the trauma that affected my family somehow vomited out into the public because there's all these personal relations to my family and what's happening in the public. And that's why I say I know the Antichrist, because he speaks to me all the time through all these. Every time I leave my house, who are the people in your neighborhood? He speaks to me through one of these people. So something happened en masse to people that has allowed them to be sock puppets, basically. So I needed something to get me away from that. And I shared a video yesterday. And again, this is still on topic in a weird way. I shared a video yesterday about pigs and about how they share some of our DNA. And I got to thinking about how Christ cast the demons into pigs and about how that's always intrigued me. And about how pork is the one thing that a lot of religious people agree on that they abstain from. And about how cannibals call humans long pig. It's in a lot of horror movies. And again, I've seen a lot of them because my mother owned video stores. And then I watched those slaughterhouse movies and I saw and I looked in the eyes of these pigs who look freakishly human. And they have skin freakishly human. And I'm like, man, I'm wondering if they're a fallen angel creation. I'm wondering if they were human at one point in some way. And Pharisees somehow, Christ made them walk away just by writing something in the sand and the dirt in front of him. So words and communication, they have power, the power of life or death. So why am I talking about talking animals? Well, we've talked also on this channel about how there's a law forbidding humans on their own from going into the wild and trying to communicate with dolphins, how that could disrupt their ecology and be bad for them. It also ties into casting out our pearls to the swine. Right, right. There's a lot going on here that we don't know about. Okay, so then I got to thinking about how in the Bible, when God uses a donkey, he talks through a donkey. And I got to thinking about, and now they're not canonical, but the alleged ancient texts of Adam and Eve, and about how the animals spoke. And I don't know why. And again, God works this way. It's amazing. And I can show you here on my phone. Just now, I started looking up Lewis Carroll, and I couldn't figure out why am I looking this up, because my life feels like Alice in Wonderland, and because Alice in Wonderland is related to so many like MK Ultra stories and stuff. And I'm like, I gotta look up Lewis Carroll for a second, because authors and publishing companies, like, they get ignored a lot and they shouldn't. Because I think some authors are made up. And I'll get to that at a later date. So I start looking up Lewis Carroll, and I find out that through the looking glass, one of the reasons that it was banned back in the day, and I'm going to show you this, he was disgusting. Well, maybe they want you to think he was disgusting because there's something else in his books that they don't want you to see. What's the worst thing you could say about someone today? Green Eyed Mama just said it. He was disgusting. He was a child harmer. That's the worst thing you could say about somebody. We've gone from the Dave Chappelle era of calling everybody crazy. That's the worst thing you could say because people dismiss what they're saying immediately. And Green Eyed Bomb, I'm not picking on you. I'm using what you said. You could very well be right. I don't personally know. I'm playing devil's advocate again because we got to look from both lenses here. So just hang with me for a second. The worst thing you could say about somebody today in this time is that they're a child harmer. And I've even been looking at Epstein a little more on his island and about how his island has a temple on it. It looks a lot like a Jewish temple. What if they're sitting here getting us to degrade and degrade and falsely accuse people of God somehow? Just hang with me for a second. We know by now that if something trends in the media, that we should run, not walk in the other direction. That en masse, big groups of people are usually wrong and headed in the wrong direction. Something happens, and I'm going to get to that in a moment. So, one of the worst things you could say about somebody is that they're a child harmer. Why would you say that? Why would you falsely accuse somebody of that? What's the purpose? What's the goal? To get everybody else to dismiss what they're saying. You don't want, you want to keep that secret. And if you outright ban his books, you're going to make children want to read it. They're going to want to read it because you're banning them, right? Forbidden fruit. So you can't outright like destroy them or burn them or because people are going to want them then, right? You can't forbid them. So what do? Well, you attack them and you say that the guy who wrote them can't be trusted. He was a child harmer, which again may very well be true. However, something made me look him up this morning. And I did, and I saw what was said about him. So I kept looking a little deeper. I didn't know this, but through the looking glass, because I felt like that's where we are since 2019. Our whole society is through the looking glass. Everything's inverted. Right is good. And I'm not saying this is good, but good has gone evil. Evil has gone good. Up is down. Down is up. And we're inverted completely. Not all of us, but like society and what the screen is showing us is rather inverted. So I look this up. I'm like, why is Through the Looking Glass banned? And I can kind of get it. The Cheshire Cat with the hookah, and the whole 60s, all that era. Okay, I can kind of see that. Then you go further back, and it says it was banned in China. Get this, in the region in China it was banned in was Hunan, almost human, but Hunan, Hunan. No, and I'm not saying anything again, Green Eyed Mama. I'll get to that in 1 second. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm saying don't dismiss don't dismiss the message always just because the messenger has been discredited, because that's happening to me. They know somewhat of the future. These fallen ones, these fallen watchers, whatever you want to call them, controllers, they are infallible. They're not infallible, right? They have faults. They have failings. But they do know, and I don't want to give too much away here of what I know because I don't want them to know what I know if I can keep it from them, which I don't think I can anyway, but that's another story. They know a percentage of the future that's going to happen, right? So they came to discredit me on purpose. That big man that had the teeth problems, that had the federal carry license, that was on the screen. I've shared the pilot on my channel. I'm not shy. Like, doesn't matter to me what people think. I don't care. If he wants to come for me, he knows where I'm at. I'm not hiding from anybody. I'm going to be brutally honest because I don't want no one else, no other family to go through what I went through. And if I have to shame people to keep them from hurting anyone else, well, that's what I'll do. Anyways, he came to discredit me on purpose. He knew too much about me beforehand. These people knew things about me they should not have known. So either I am on TV in America, some nation, like I am Truman, which is probably impossible. I'm not important. I know this. I know that I'm not any center of anything. But I know that the people around me are important. right? And I know that I was a useful idiot, right? Like, I admit that. I admit that I was deceived, stupid, a dupe. They know I turn the other cheek. They know this. And it hurts me because I don't fight back. I'm like, what am I going to do? Huh? Well, because that part of being a Christ follower, I nailed a long time ago. Love. Do all things from love and, turn the other cheek. But they knew ahead of time to discredit me. So people are going to discredit just because somebody gets discredited. You might want to look a little closer then into that person in this time. Now, granted, Mom, I'm not saying that you're wrong. He very well may have been a child harmer. But they banned his books in Hunan, China for talking animals. They tried to ban Winnie the Pooh for talking animals because they didn't want us to view animals the same way that we view people in the social hierarchy. They said it would be, and I quote, disastrous. I'm going to pull this up and show you now. But again, I searched on my phone and that's a different search engine. So if it comes up with different search results, I do apologize. So I'm going to try to share the screen here. Good day to you as well. Thanks for being here. And I know this is an odd topic. Not everybody's going to want to engage or watch it, but it relates to scripture and it relates to the demons and the demonic. And I think I know why we can't understand each other anymore. And I think I know what 5G is doing. And I said it from the beginning, but I think I know what it's doing. And I think oh, no worries. Have a good day at work. Stopped raining in my area. Hopefully you'll have a nice one. It's nice to have work to do. My work is housework and planting, which isn't going well. So again, this is escapism for me. So I'm going to share a screen and we're going to talk about just a couple of things. It doesn't have to be a super long video, but it's strange and I want to look at it. And I figured, why not take you guys with me? So let me just go over here and make sure you guys are seeing what I'm seeing. And I'm going to pull it up on my phone and make sure everything is going all right. I'm going to pull it up on my phone and make sure everything is. Sorry if that was like glaring, whatever the word is. Okay, so I punched in very little, talking animals in the ancient text because I don't want to pull up just the Bible. But I think I know. You remember that game on Sesame Street? And I reference this a lot. Which one of these things doesn't belong? Not like the other. Which one of these things doesn't belong? Demons, animals, and humans can't communicate normally, right? They can't communicate out in the open with each other now in this time. But according to ancient texts, like the books of Adam and Eve, and in the Bible itself with the donkey, there have been talking animals. And I just looked up Through the Looking Glass was banned. Winnie the Pooh was banned. They were banned for having talking animals. Charlotte's Web was also banned for talking animals. And then they said the other reason was for death, the topic of death. But this is rich. It was the death of the spider that they were concerned about, not the fact that Wilbur might be sent to slaughter. That wasn't the topic they were worried about discussing with children, about how he becomes bacon. It was the spider. So again, I know this is a hard topic for a lot of people, and I'm not judging you because I still consume things that I shouldn't on occasion because it is an addiction in our society at this time. And God did change the diet, and He does change things. Maybe He Himself does not change, but He changes things. And it says in the story of Jonah, he repented. So He does change His mind. we were allowed to eat animals at a certain point, and I believe that also caused a type of fall. I think all of these things have something in common, and I'm going to get to that. So let me go through this real quick. Talking animals in ancient texts are a common theme in Greek and Roman literature. These verbal animals serve as a conundrum, reflecting an anxiety about human communication. They appear in works by Homer, Hesiod, Archilochus, and Aristophanes. I think. Now, again, this is research with me, so we're just browsing a little bit of this, but I want to show you what I found about something else. And I'm very open here. So let's look up why was through the looking glass. Because I like to show you everything. I don't want you to just rely on me. I want you to see what I'm talking about. Let me make sure it's there for you. Okay, cool. There we go. All right, it says, now some of this I'm not going to read. You can see what it says. I'm not sure why it says some of that. Maybe somebody could fill me in, but it says derogatory characterization of teachers and religious ceremonies. That I'm not sure about. And it says references to double clicking mouses and sensual fantasies. I just aged myself there, but whatever. However, it is important to note that the novel is aimed at entertaining children. Now, here it is. In China, Alice in Wonderland was banned due to talking animals, which were considered an insult to attribute humans and animals as having the same complexities. Now, I looked and I tried to find something a little deeper to see if, maybe they had a better source on this. There is no better source. So I want to show you what it says about Charlotte's Web. Again, just so you can see what I saw. And that's how we do these videos together. Full transparency. No editing. Editing is of the devil. Talking animal, here it is. And this is religious hypocrisy at its best. This is, I was raised in the church. I'm not, I believe in God, obviously. My channel is full of the Lord. This is religious, Sadducee behavior, Pharisaical behavior at its peak. Talking animals are blasphemous and unnatural. Okay, well then why, oh why are there talking animals in the Bible? So either this is a lie or we are super double-minded. Now again, in the 60s, they give a different reason. They give the counterculture reason to the 60 to substances, inhaling this, that, or the other, smoking this, that, or the other, the hookah with the Cheshire cat, and that type of thing. But says Charlotte's Web, shockingly enough, more recently, this seemingly innocent children's book written by E.B. White, and that series that was woohoo that I still gotta that I found out that vinegar and lavender they don't like, was written by E.B. L. This is wild. Was banned in Kansas because talking animals are blasphemous and unnatural, and passages about the spider dying were inappropriate for a children's book. What? And if you don't believe me, if you're not the type of person that has read the Bible or you don't read it yourself, verses with talking animals is what I just typed in. Let's see what we got. Bible verses related to animals include no, talking animals. Talking. That speak. How about that? Let's try verses with animals that speak. Because the snake talks right in Genesis. Like, bada bing, bada boom, right off the bat, the snake talks. Dude, that's not what I asked. Verses with animals that speak. That talk about no. No. Okay, there we go. Finally. I had to go a little further down here to find results on that, which is kind of disappointing for many reasons. All right, let me make sure everything looks good and share this new screen with you guys as I get down here to the verses. There we go. Share this tab instead. See how you guys are looking there. Yep. All right. Cool. Of course, an urgent errand came up and I can't interact. No worries. No worries. Let me get rid of that ad. No, I do not have an ad blocker. This is not a monetized channel. It will not be. 35 important Bible verses about animals talking. Numbers 22:28. Then the Lord opened the donkey's mouth, and it said to Balaam, "What have I done to you to make you beat me these 3 times?" I remember that. I just read that not too long ago. Oh, because I was writing down all the verses about that promote vegetarianism and promote nonviolence with animals. Matthew 10:29. Are not 2 sparrows sold for a penny? Yet not one of them will fall to the ground outside of your Father's care. Okay, that's not talking animals. But ask the birds and they will teach you. Or let the fish in the sea inform you. Come on now. Genesis 3:1. Now the serpent was more crafty than any of the wild animals the Lord God had made. The wolf will live with the lamb, the leopard will lie down with the goat, the calf and the lion, the yearling together, and a little child will lead them. Hello, and still it's not the talking animals. We know, though, that the snake. So I want to check something out. Hold, please, while I search something. We're going to bring up. I would like something comprehensive that has a list. List of because we're just doing superficial research for right now, because we're going to also look at that law about communicating with the dolphins again as well, because I have another question about that I'd like to address. Okay, so it says talking animals in ancient texts are found in various cultures, including Greco Roman, Egyptian, Hebrew, and Indian. In ancient Attic comedy plays by. Hold on a second. I think I'm being taken in a different direction. Okay, I'm going to show you something else. I got to look it up. So this is where I'm headed with this, with all of it. You guys see what I'm saying? Okay. Here's my theory. Demons, animals, and people, and dead people, deceased people. None of us are supposed to communicate. We have a veil in between us, right? However, people and animals used to communicate more. And in fact, demons and God and angels used to use animals more to speak as well than they do now, because they don't have free will to like say no to that type of thing. So I guess they get used more than we do, which is ironic considering the time that we're in and how people are behaving. But, anyways, getting back to that. And I think this will help now in the times that we are in because of the 5G and all that. Now, this is a theory of mine that I've had for a long time. So I think 5G acts in two different ways. I think it's a cloaking device, but I also think it's a fence. Um, I don't know if it acts as a fence yet, but in some way it's an electric fence and we're the cattle. That's the first part. The second part is that it keeps us from seeing the giants and the cryptid things, because they're all on the same frequency. Basically, they're the boogeymen. When we create boogeymen and we create them, they present as what we're afraid of. If you relate to aliens, it's going to make itself look like an alien. If you relate to Bigfoot, it's going to make itself look like Bigfoot. Although I do believe that the Nephilim are a physical being that dwell in both dimensions. Every dimension has its own frequency. When we fell physically and mentally and spiritually, when we fell in frequency. We can no longer understand the animals because we're on a different frequency. But I think with one of those things that, and again, I'm not this physics girl, so somebody else would have to do this, but I think with those Tesla coils, and I can't remember the name, the Torah, I think with one of those things, if the animal had it and we had it or something like that, we would be able to understand each other, because they're doing it with AI now, where you can understand Spanish even if you don't speak it. It translates it instantaneously for you in the earpiece. Well, I think that's what's going on with humans and animals. I do think we used to talk to each other. Not all the time, not all of us, but surely something happened with the dolphins, something happened with the pigs, something went on with donkeys. And I know this is a wild video, and I know it's a strange topic, but let's take a look at what the human body's frequency is normally. Now, this is a control thing. This is, I'm sure they tested a variety of different people. Everybody's probably at a different frequency. If you're somebody who does not eat animals and does not eat animal products, you're probably at a higher frequency. If you're somebody who meditates, right, and you never get angry, you're probably at a much higher frequency. So, human body frequency is generally considered to be between 62 and 78 megahertz, with an average frequency of about 70. A healthy human body resonates at 62 to 68 during the daytime. Wow, 66 would be right in the middle, wouldn't it? And dis-ease may begin when the frequency drops below 58. Below 58. You don't say. Well, does that mean then that we could look up below 58? Frequency of a dolphin body. Well, they're not going to give us the frequency of its body. They probably can't get that. But how about of a dolphin echolocation? Echolocation is what deaf people do too. It's when you like do clicks and sounds and you can hear it reverberating or vibrating, echoing off of things, and that's how you get around. So their echolocation can be anywhere as low as 40 and as high as 130, which would be out of our range, right? So a dolphin swimming. Yeah, see, it gives us velocity and stuff, but measuring frequency, like, that's so weird. I probably have to be still for that. Like, the frequency of your body, it definitely matters what you eat and consume. Like, what's inside of you matters a lot. So, would it be okay? So, frequency, a human ear can detect the audible spectrum, see, 20 to 20,000. See, everybody's different. I want to know normal. Yeah, 20 to 20,000. All right. So, can you give me the frequency of a donkey? They produce brays that range from 85 to 95 decibels. Oh, that's actually, that seems like that would be painful, but for its body, you see, it's not gonna, it can't determine that probably because they eat differently, they do all these things differently. But I bet they dwell in a dimensional frequency that is different than ours. We are somehow hearing in a different vibrational frequency than they are speaking at, or what have you. There seems to be some way that when these wavelengths meet, even though they're speaking in their brazen clicks and chirps and beeps, when we all can understand or understand what each other is saying. Let's go back to literature includes Aristotle, Pliny. I want to know if there's any in speaking animals in ancient literature. Hebrew. Let's check this out real quick too. That is my overall theory, though, is that we are at a different frequency. And this is why you're having people talk about this predator illusion. That's why they're just seeing it, but they're not seeing it. But it seems like it's there, but it's not there. It's a cloak, but it's not. And this is why people are. I don't have the whistle here with me. I do have a dog whistle, though. I bought one. If you go outside and you do the dog whistle and they say they're summoning UFOs, they're not summoning them. They're there. They're dropping the cloak momentarily. Go do it. Go try it. I bet you can. You don't have to be special. The problem is some of these people are willingly like interacting with demonic forces, and that's no good either. But it's not all demonic. Some are angels, which is why you got to be very careful. Which is why I'm observing a lot. I'm just kind of sitting in the back. So this is a paper apparently written by a German guy. Man, I think they won the war. We was lied to about everything. I think they won it all. Why we're speaking English, I don't know. But the scholarly interest in the portrayal of animals in ancient literature has been steadily increasing in recent years. However, research focusing on the depiction of talking animals in antiquity is still a desideratum. The volume under review, which publishes the result of an international interdisciplinary conference held in Potsdam in September 2018. There's that year again. Like, I can't, everything I touch, I can't even like look at the news anymore or pull up a video. Last night I put up some random found footage movie and it ended up pointing back to MK Ultra and German World War II people. It's either that or cannibals. Everything I everything. Like, I don't know if AI is gaslighting me because it thinks it's driving me insane. Honestly, I'm just tired of it all. Like, I'm tired. Like, I just really want to hang up the technology, all of it. The only reason I still do this is because there seems to be a few real people here still. And how else am I going to build new relationships? Because apparently I can't build any with people here. And if I go, I guess I can go to another town, but it's, well, where are you going to sleep? And then you'll get arrested if you happen to fall asleep in public. It's just, I don't know anymore. The book gathers 21 papers that deal with the presentation of talking animals in ancient Greco Roman literature and other ancient cultures, Egyptian, Hebrew, and in Indian, which is interesting. So there is a historical precedent, then that's what I was looking for, a common thread. Remember? That's what we talk about on this channel. Pull out that common thread because usually there is some type of truth there. In the garden, the serpent spoke. In the garden, the serpent walked. But then his punishment was forever to crawl on his belly. Which makes you wonder at Satan now, like, how can he get into other beings and why was the serpent punished if it was the one possessed? Like, there's still so much we don't know. But the things in the Bible, they do seem to be true. Whether or not MSM wants to pretend they're coming true or not, I'm seeing evidence in my own daily life that normal people can't and would not fake. Like, it's just, and again, I try to protect people's privacy, so I'm not even going to say what it is. It's just all bad mojo, man. It adds up to nothing good. So this is all, yeah, it's a German dude. Can you point me in the direction? So we are seeing a precedent that there is talking animals in ancient literature from every continent, it looks like, from India, Egypt. Then you have some in Hebrew, which isn't really a land, it's a people. Again, you have that. Are Jewish people, are they a people? Are they a political movement? Is it a religion? Because I'm confused. Um, okay. So they're saying here that in some of these books they're actually analyzing the elements, like why humans can talk to animals and why they can't, and some of them it's just accepted that animals speak, which is interesting. And the Bible, according to Augustine, pagan texts, especially fables, offer an allegoria in verbis, which means allegories in verbs. In other words, they express a superficially untrue fact which nevertheless turns out to bear a true meaning. The Bible instead displays allegoria in facto. It presents consequently statements that have a true meaning both superficially and figuratively. So they're saying that the animals do indeed speak. This kind of stuff is fascinating to me. Because if you have animals, like you get it, you know. And I know people pick on, oh, you treat your animals like family. Oh, you treat them like babies. Look, I'm not going to be the woman pushing them down the sidewalk in a stroller. Like, that won't be me. And if I had to choose between my child and my dog, God forbid if it ever came to that, I know which one I would choose. But that doesn't negate the fact that in Genesis, it actually does say that they have souls, that they have spirit like we do. And you don't notice it until you notice it. It took me being traumatized badly to get my conscience back again, to wake back up. I pray to God that's not what it takes for my family. God already told me, I think, what it's going to take for them to wake back up. And that's one of the reasons I'm still here. It's going to take watching whatever happens to me for them to wake back up, unfortunately. But it is what it is. Um, and when I did, I had this just moment of clarity where my dog was looking at me with these sad eyes, and I'm sitting there and I was eating a hamburger. And I was like, this doesn't even taste good anymore. And I was looking at him and I was looking at the burger, and I just was like, oh, like, what am I doing? Like, you know what I mean? And again, I'm not judging any of you. Like, that's not the purpose of this. The point is truth, is to find out the truth about who we are, why we're here, how we came to be here. And I don't mean God, I mean how we came to be on the land masses that we're on, and who brought us here, and why are we here, and why don't we know anything about our backgrounds? Not all of us, but enough of us that it should be a question like, what's going on here? And we're human beings, and we have souls, and by damaging us, you're damaging families, and by damaging families, you're damaging communities. By damaging communities, you're damaging society. And by that, I can only reason then that the ones who are in control of this and doing this, because it is systematic. Look at all the families that have been harmed since 2019. The fact that all this is happening leads me to the only conclusion I can come to, is that it's anti human. It's anti mankind. It's anti God. It's anti life. Therefore, we need to be the opposite of that. We need to be pro God, pro neighbor, pro life, pro human, uber to the nth degree, 50, 11 million times. Okay? Like, that's what we need. Can we succeed at that? Like, can we get to that in our hearts? I don't know. I hope so, but I think that's what it's gonna take. I mean, apparently we're stuck here until everybody wakes up. It seems like it's a all for one and one for all, three musketeer type deal. Don't you think? Like, I don't know. I don't know, for the rest of us that are here anyway, because it sure feels like a rapture happened. It sure feels like a lot of the smartest individuals of our society, a lot of the most enlightened are gone. Like, nothing's getting fixed. Food is crap. There is no good art anymore, and communism, that's what they do. That's what fascism does. And they're anti human, they're anti life, they're anti beauty, anti art. And if you're a part of that movement, I would have to ask you why. What pride is there to take in destruction? Oh, I destroyed that. Oh, anybody can destroy something. It takes a real special being, though, to create something out of rubble. That's who I want to be. Decide this day who you will be. So that's why I think it's important that we start looking at our roots and where we come from, why we're here, and who our allies are. And our allies in part should be the animals. And if we are in the end times, it tells us that the wild animals of the forest and the fields, the wild beasts of the fields, shall come after us, that they shall turn on us. They are under our dominion. You should never see an animal attacking a human being. If it does, it should be greatly provoked. Animals here have been greatly provoked for a long time. Most of them, all they need to see is you to raise your hand now, even if it's not a gun you're carrying, and they will get offended and afraid. And beings that are afraid appear very angry and do violent things. I know, because I was in fear for a long time after I was traumatized. It's not that I'm a hateful person, I was scared. It's not that I like to yell or I'm an angry person. I was scared. And sometimes when you're small, especially when you're a female, and when you're a mother, when you're scared, you appear angry. So we have allies in animals, okay? Now they know it says that wasps and birds communicate with one another. Now let's get out of here. I want to see. I'm going to go back to my list real quick and see if. Whoops, I was sharing the wrong tab, but I was reading it to you, so we're good. I'm going to go back here with you guys where you're at. Oral storytelling, ancient myths. Now, Native Americans, most of us should know if you grew up in the American school system at all of their stories that I have ever heard have talking animals. And I actually have. I was just reading, I have the Grimm, a really cool Grimm fairy tale book that I was reading from. And there's stories in there about Christ. I'm telling you, everybody used to just know. Even Grimm fairy tales that are supposed to be kind of scary. Even in there, they knew Christ was Lord. Christ is Lord. So, why are we so dark today? These are the dark ages. Animal communication, the Oxford Handbook. It analyzes prose texts. Do we want to get that deep? Anna's Archive. But in fact, they are genre crossing phenomenon. Yes, they are. Wonder if we should look on Reddit. They always have wild stuff over there. Anyone still with me? Cool. All right, let's see. Eloquent Elogia, animal narrators in ancient Greek literature. ResearchGate, I love that website. Eloquent Elogia. Okay, so that's what it's called too. We learned a new word. Elogia, Alogia, is I guess what you refer to is how you refer to communication between animals and people. Speaking animals in ancient literature, I want something a little stranger. How about let's just punch in tales of talking animals. I'm just curious. Are talking animals anthropomorphic? See, that's my question. That's my next question. Are the animals that they're referring to in these stories, fact or fiction, is the author talking about them as being shapeshifters? Are they able to go from human to animal as that their familiar spirit form, animal form? That fascinates me. Like that's really interesting. 13 delightful fairy tales with talking animals. Snow White. Oh gosh, I love Snow White. Nothing worse than a grown woman who likes fairy tales. Well, you know what? You need to read some of them because they weren't originally written for children. They kind of adult themed. And I'm kind of named after her, so I do love her. I wanted something from Reddit. No. Stories of fictional talking animals, fairy tales, books about. No. Some results have been removed. I wonder why that is. All right. Since it's against the law to communicate with dolphins, animals, it is illegal to. I feel weird typing that. Wow. And they're all sea creatures. Okay, so check this out. I typed in, for those who are just listening, I typed in animals it is illegal to communicate with as humans. If you don't type in a question, it usually just gives you a comprehensive list. So that's why I don't, and I'm not going to talk to it like it's a person. I'm sorry, but anyways, that's what I typed in. Animals it is illegal to communicate with as humans. Guess what it gave me? Whales, dolphins, and seals. And so now this is a summary. We can get down to the search results, but the AI or whatever it is gave me, and there are 6,400,000 results. Whales, dolphins, and seals. It is generally illegal to intentionally communicate with whales, dolphins, and seals. Approaching, harassing, feeding, or attempting to communicate with wild dolphins is not only illegal, but also irresponsible, as it puts both humans and dolphins at risk and negatively impacts their natural behavior. I think that if you're near the sea, you need to go try this. And I think that if you're near the national parks, you should go in them only if you're two by two, at least two by two, and stay two by two and don't go off alone because they don't want us in these places. And I think that's a really good reason why we should go do these things and find out why. And they really need to stop demanding money to get into these places. I was looking at our local state park, which is not any place to write home about. I mean, it's lovely, but it's not. They want $35 a night if I want water and an electric hookup. If I want water for myself and Sam and an electric hookup with my own tent, they want $35. I can go get a pet friendly motel to be alone with an ice machine, and a door that locks for like $30 more. They don't want us in the parks. Ask why. First of all, they're strip mining everything, but there's other things going on in there. They're not going to be able to do what they're trying to do. I'll tell you that right now. And they're going about it wrong. I already said that a million times. They're not going to be able to, they're not going to get the gate open. It's not going to happen. Whales, dolphins, and seals. Okay, so anything else? Illegal to communicate with dolphins. I love how I did that video and then everyone and their mother did it. But nobody watches my channel. And I get no views. Legal implications of dolphin and human interactions. That's terrible, man. No, dude, I want to know why, where it came from. So, what would be the origin? Like, how far back? For their own protection. I don't want to hear that, dude. I don't want to hear that. And I really do think some birds are fake. Not all birds, obviously, but some, absolutely. My dad was a bird watcher and he had a Christmas ornament, and I still have it. And it was a bird with binoculars watching people. My dad was, again, my mom and dad gave me clues. Yours probably did too. They just, for whatever reason, don't outright tell you. I think that's against the rules. I'm probably breaking all the rules, but hey, nobody ever told me anything. So it's amazing that I got as far as I did, being as dumb as I am. Why is it illegal to talk to? Why does no one think this is weird? Why is no one talking about this on Reddit and stuff? I'm about to punch that in. Like, why does no one think it's odd? Why are they all sea creatures, though? Let's think about this. So there was a flood, right? There was sin all over the earth. God did it to cleanse and purify the earth, knowing that not all the Nephilim were killed. So I, for one, I'm not thinking it was to kill all the Nephilim. He knew they weren't all going to die. He knew that there was going to be a reflection of, see, because that's what's happening now. Christ had his rule and reign, and what you're seeing is the mirror image of that with a darker one. Everything that happens with this one is going to be an inversion of what happened with Christ. You dig what I'm are you receiving what I'm laying down? So when God flooded the earth, would he have flooded it because of the technology? Was it? Because everybody assumes that the Nephilim like hid in the oceans. Are some of the ocean creatures their creations? Is that why we don't eat pig? Because they are close to human? They used to be human? All right, so let's check that out real quick. Why would they have jumped into the sea? Oh no, why are you sharing all that? What are you doing now? Let's see. All right, I'm closing some of these other tabs. Yes, weird stories. Thank you. Roman baths and cold water to the surface. Saint Anthony did battle with Saint Anthony's pig. Satan appeared as a monstrous pig. That's new. The intertwined story of humans and pigs goes back thousands of years. Early humans took wild boars and bred them to make the wild creatures more. Yeah, we heard that. We know that story. Pigs discovered healing waters. So the original Roman baths that have medicinal properties were discovered by pigs. That's weird. And they jumped into water, which I don't understand. Pigs are land animals, aren't they? Had cured the pigs of leprosy. Okay, St. Anthony's pig. I'd never heard this. St. Anthony did battle with Satan many times. One time, Satan appeared in the form of a monstrous pig. St. Anthony showed the pig only kindness and forgiveness, driving Satan out, and St. Anthony was left with a friendly pig. That is why farmers pray to St. Anthony for help. That's interesting. Wow, that's wild. Okay, so there's something we didn't know. Strange but true, I guess. Apparently. All right. No. No. Huh. I don't know what this is. Again, this is a research with me. Don't judge me. I'm just seeing what it is. But it's October 2015, which is cool. It's before the dreaded inversion happened to our timeline here. Are we looking at this? Are we on the right page? I hope. Yep. All right. Cool. Oh, see what I mean? You got a half pig, half person statue. What is up, man? Why do we have so many things like that? Oh, I can't. What does this got to do with any of that? Okay, this is weird. Built in about 2550 BC, the Great Pyramid of Giza stands 455 feet tall and comprises some 2.3 million blocks of stone weighing about 13 billion pounds in aggregate. Archaeologists still argue over whether those stones were moved into place using levers, sledges, or oil slicked ramps. Most of us know by now it was frequency. Whatever the technical method, and that's what we're talking about today, so this slides right in very nicely. But if you missed the earlier part of the video, you'll need to see that to understand why I'm talking about these strange things at the same time. Whatever the technical method, building the pyramids involved a feat of social engineering, yada, yada, yada. They're so great, we know. The builders of the Great Pyramid called upon the resources of the entire Nile Valley to support the effort. The royal house sent orders to the heads of villages, who in turn sent men to the Giza site along with grain and livestock to feed the men. Workers drank beer, a muddy beverage fermented from grain and consumed more for nutrition than pleasure. They ate heavy loaves of wheat and barley, supplemented with beef, mutton, and goat. So, yeah, they would have sent, with animals raised elsewhere and the juvenile males not needed for breeding, marched to slaughter at the pyramids. Does it ever change? One village that provided livestock was Qom el Hassan, located in the Nile Delta, about 75 miles downriver. Yada yada. Oh, they raised cattle but ate very little beef. Only the bones of worn out breeding cows and sick calves have been uncovered there. Well, maybe they didn't eat them. Maybe they just took care of them. Instead, the villagers ate pork. For every 4 cattle bones archaeologists unearthed at Qom el Hassan, they found 100 pig bones. Holy moly. That's a lot of pig. It seems that the residents kept herds of pigs that foraged in the Nile Delta marshes and scavenged trash on streets, although Egypt's rulers demanded cash, along with goats, demanded cattle, along with goats and sheep from other settlements. The villagers' pigs were spared. The villagers' pigs were spared. Is it because they were like the trash heaps? Like they ate the trash? The reasons for this had to do with climate and biology. Animals destined for Giza had to walk hundreds of miles, feeding on grass and leaves along the way. Well suited for such a journey, cows, goats, and sheep were herded to Giza by the thousands. Pigs, however, would not have found the food or shade they needed along the way. The state couldn't move the pigs around, so it ignored them. This pattern appeared throughout the Near East. Officials developed complex food provisioning systems that depended. Okay, they're not bottom lining me here. Can I just tell you what this is telling me? Like, this is a lot of information for nothing. Why? Like, some of it's needless. And I'm not saying to me, I'm saying even to somebody who's really into this, you don't need to give this much reasoning. Like, you don't need to give this much detail. Just say the pigs were there to eat the trash, or, you know what I mean? Like, that's when I detect deception. Why are you going to all this effort? That makes me think like you're covering something up. Why were there so many pigs and why did they go uneaten? Why didn't they eat them? Because I don't think they ate meat at all back then. The elite Egyptians, the elitists, the people who were at the top, knew not to eat meat. They did not eat meat. We've talked about that before too. And we've talked about the word game, about how onomatopoeia, about how carnivorous sounds like another word they gave us in 2019. God told me to stop eating it, and I'm advising the same. And it's also in The Simpsons. The Simpsons tell you what's coming of all this. All right, we're going to bottom line ourselves here and go stories of humans being turned into pigs. Because I just want to see, because we already know that like the fallen tinker with genetics. In Egypt, we see the bird heads, right? And sometimes like the minotaurs and things of that nature. But the pig, I mean, it looks altogether It has human features, but not in form. The form is a warthog, right? But the skin and the eyes are human. Okay, so there's something in anime talking about it. Wow, this is apparently a trope. Human to animal transformation, the witches. Yeah, I've seen that on like clips and I won't watch that movie. Pinocchio. Oh, the donkey. Yeah, I didn't like that. That was weird. The donkey, the kid turned into the donkey. That's right. The fly, that was gross. I didn't like that either. Okay, pig human. In the Odyssey, that's where it is. Cersei. Same name as the chick from Game of Thrones. Hold please, and I will bring up this tab for you guys to see. This is ukeessays.com. And that's all I want is a summary to read you guys. In the Cersei episode of the Odyssey, Odysseus Odysseus's crew are transformed by Cersei into pigs, then returned into their human form. Here's the Cersei passage summarized in brief. The goddess invites a portion of Odysseus's crew into her home, and while she is feeding them, she gives them drugs to forget their homecoming. Cersei then transforms the crew and drives them into the pens. Significantly, while the men take on the shape of pigs, their minds remain human. They have forgotten their homecoming, but still suffer from the awareness that they're not in the proper form. A few lines later, as Odysseus travels up to Circe's house, he is reminded by Hermes that his crew are transformed into pigs and trapped in pens. After canoodling with Cersei, but not eating with her, for how can he, with a clear conscience, eat while his men are transformed? Odysseus compels the goddess to set his men free. The men come out of the pens looking like 9-year-old porkers, and Circe touches each in turn with her wand, transforming them again into men. Finally, in this section, while Odysseus attempts to convince somebody else with a terrible name and other members of his crew that the goddess is now a friend and that they ought to stay as her guests for a while. He says he fears returning to Circe's house will cause all the men to be transformed into pigs, wolves, or lions, and will then be compelled to guard the goddess's house. Eurylochos' fears are not unreasonable. He was the only one to escape the initial transformation of the crew. And furthermore, the crew on the way to this initial transformation did encounter a number of enchanted wolves and lions who most suspiciously fawned on them like dogs. Interesting. That is the most popular tale, I believe, of pigs being turned into or humans being turned into pigs. Now, what was the first word? Was it warthog, pig, or swine? Because if we can do an etymological study, we can find out where they were first mentioned and in what book and when. I want to know where pigs come from because they are way too similar to human beings at this point. Let's see if human suggests the animal human resembles the. Oh, that one's a PDF. We don't want to look at that one just because. I really want to like go back to the original. I want something old. Not that. No. Wow, we got some sick people. I'm not even gonna just go right by those. Metamorphosis in Greek mythology. It seems like that might be as far back as you can go. Now, anime is playing with that trope quite a bit, I see. And anime, again, the Antichrist loves Pokemon and the anime and the Yu Gi Oh! That whole generation, man. My son's generation. They all love that stuff. Let's take a brief look at this and then we will save this topic because it's going to slide nicely into another topic that I'm going to look at regarding frequency and communication. And I'm going to look for, I've heard through the grapevine a few more tales about the dolphin angle on this. I'm going to look for that too on my free time. So this says overall metamorphosis in Greek mythology. This may be as far back as we can go with this, but give me 1 second. I want to type something in. First usage of word swine. Middle English, where it was used to refer to domesticated pigs or hogs. Etymology online. I just want to look at that real quick while I have that other page up. And it says swine, domestic pig, house, sow, wild boar. German, Dutch, Saxon, Norse, Swedish. The native word it has largely been ousted by pig, but swine looks like it's the original. Interesting too. Like I find it fascinating that they always use swine in plagues. And that's here in 1891, 1590, 1921. Like they use that a lot. What is that telling? I don't think it means again, I think they're talking about humans when they use that term. And I don't know why, I just do. Okay, sorry. I had to go back and see which word came first. Then I know what to look for when I'm doing these searches. In ancient Greece, the surviving Greek mythology features a wide collection of myths where the subjects are physically transformed into humanoid life forms, inanimate objects, changes in base, miscellaneous voluntarily, notes, references. Stories of shape shifting within Greek context are old, having been part of the mythological corpus as far back as the Iliad of Homer. Usually, those legends include mortals being changed as punishment from a god or as a reward for their good deeds. In other tales, gods take different forms in order to test or deceive some mortal. There's a wide variety of types of transformations from human to animal, from animal to human, from human to plant, from inanimate object to human, from one gender to another, and from human to stars, which we've talked about that with Cassiopeia. On another note, John Cusack is coming to my area. I would love to go see him. Like, I'm not a celebrity person, but John Cusack, JC, Jesus Christ, John Kerry, like, we've talked about how their movies have like things going on in our actual reality, which is weird. Okay, anyway, moving on. Man, I wanted an old mythology about pigs, right? Old myths about pigs. One more shot to see if it'll show me anything. I want to be careful before I just show you guys a page if I don't know what it has. Hog Wild in Athens, BCE. Role of pigs in social. Pigs in culture. Let's do that real quick because we can always look at deeper. We can do a deeper test of this, but I just wanted to see what was out there regarding their genetics. Okay, so pigs widespread in societies around the world since Neolithic times have been used for many purposes in art, literature, and other expressions of human culture. In classical times, the Romans considered pork the finest of meats, enjoying sausages and depicting them in their art. Across Europe, pigs have been celebrated in carnivals since the Middle Ages, becoming especially important in medieval Germany. There's that place again. In cities such as Nuremberg and early modern Italy, in cities such as Bologna. Bologna. In literature, both for children and adults, pig characters appear in allegories, comic stories, and serious novels. In art, pigs have been represented in a wide range of media and styles from the earliest times in many cultures. Pig names are used in idioms and animal epithets, often derogatory since pigs have long been linked with dirtiness and greed, while places such as Swindon are named for their association with swine. Manatees? I can send a video. Absolutely, send one. The eating of pork is forbidden in Islam and Judaism, but pigs are sacred in some other religions. I would think sacred would mean you don't eat it. Sort of. Okay, so in classical times, pork was generally considered the choicest of all domestic meats consumed during Roman times. Gross. And it was ingested in a multitude of forms, from sausages to steaks, by rich and poor alike. No other animal had so many Latin names. That's why I'm suspicious of it, because they always rename things that they don't want you knowing about, like Shrek and the Onion, layer after layer after layer. Why do they give it so many names? Why do they take so many names? Why do they rename the places so many times? Why does my city and town have the same names as towns across the pond? Why are all the roads the same damn names if it's not some giant experiment? Why did we just make one town a million times over everywhere? Except for apparently Dubai and China and Taiwan, who are living it up high tech style, and the Philippines, who is literally a third world nation, if videos can be trusted, if we're watching current videos. They had all this tech and they threw it away once. We should take a lesson from that. They got rid of it all. That's why do you think all the stuff's leaking out now? They're showing us. It was around in the 50s. Look up Tomorrowland. They had all of this stuff at the last World's Fair. They got rid of it all. They're even holding their hands out like this. And the old Anunnaki art, the guy with the feathers, I know you've seen it, where he carries the little bag. I'm pretty sure he's either carrying the Ankh, which is a key. I don't care what everyone else is telling you. The Ankh is a key. It goes in, it's a key. That's what it's for. That's why they hold it like that. The bag is an EMF bag. You put the Ankh in the bag. There's some more gems for you. Go monetize your videos on TikTok and make 11 million of them. I'm sorry, but it's ridiculous the way the world works. You take the creative juices of like 10 or 20 people because you can't create yourself, and you exploit us and you use us up and you harass us for our whole lives so that we can't create on our own time, so that we have no free time, so that, like, I'm tired of being used and I don't consent to being exploited. And it's just shit. It's shit anymore. I want to know why pigs look like people. I want to know why, when I look at those slaughterhouse videos, why the pig's eyes look like people eyes. And even cows, like cows have really sweet, sad eyes and scared eyes when they're scared. It's sad to see. But they don't look as human as pigs. Like there's something. If it was possible to like put a spell on somebody and turn them into an animal, I would believe that's what happened to them. I would, without a doubt, because their skin looks like people skin and their eyes look like people eyes. And I feel like we're already eating Soylent Green when we consume meat here. So I'm tired of all the deception. And I mean, people can turn off a video and you can stop thinking about certain things. But aren't you tired yet of being lied to about everything? Aren't you tired of everything being like some dress rehearsal, waiting for, well, someday I'll get that, and someday I'll live the life I want to live, and maybe tomorrow it'll be a better day? Like, aren't you tired of doing things because everyone else tells you you have to do them, or the system wants you to do this, or you have to get this checked and you have to get this paper signed? And where's your family time? Where's your time to grow? Where's your meditation time? Where's your prayer time? Muslims make sure they have their prayer time. No matter what, they get their prayer time. They demand it. I'm tired of all these lies. Pig meat has come to be seen as unacceptable to some world religions. In Islam and Judaism, the consumption of pork is forbidden. Many Hindus are lacto vegetarian. I don't know what that means. Avoiding all kinds of meat. In Buddhism, the pig symbolizes delusion. Ooh, that's harsh. One of the three poisons. Sanskrit. Okay, so in Buddhism, a pig is delusion, one of three poisons. As with Hindus, many Buddhists are vegetarian, and some sutras of the Buddha state that meat should not be eaten. Monks in the Mahayana traditions are forbidden to eat meat of any kind. Pigs have, in contrast, been sacred in several religions, including Druids of Ireland, whose priests were called swine. One of the animals sacred to the Roman goddess Diana was the boar. She sent the Caledonian boar to destroy the land. In Hinduism, the boar headed Varaha is venerated as an avatar of the god Vishnu. The sow was sacred to the Egyptian goddess Isis and used in sacrifice to Osiris. If it's sacred to you, why do you sacrifice it? Wouldn't you give it to the goddess alive? Isn't it worth more alive? I don't understand the whole blood thing. I'm sorry. Like, I still don't. And I know people are probably like, well, you're supposed to understand that by now. But I don't. I don't understand that. Wow, guys. Like, I don't even know what to say. So, Druid priests were called swine. So, you have all of these interlopations of like humans and swines and pigs being used interchangeably. That's not good. And if you notice, where it's sacred, where it's sacrificed, are pagan, which would be the fallen one's progeny, the fallen one bloodlines, which would be, if you believe the story, the original ones who turned pigs and or turned humans into pigs from that first thing we just read. If you believe it, if you think it's actually a part of their actual history. And again, mythology just means history. Don't let them trip you up with another language. It would do you so well to learn another language so that you're not fooled. And Latin is a good language to learn because it's the base language to many languages. And idioms, we have a lot of idioms regarding pigs with gluttony and all that stuff. Pig Valley, Pig Bay, yeah. Piggy Bank, we do. Yeah. Okay. So we did find an example in Greek mythology of humans being turned into pigs. Now, what does all this have to do with demons? Well, I got to thinking about why Christ cast the demons into pigs, and a lot of people have a lot of different theories about this. But I wasn't looking at why in that aspect so much as why is it that we could once talk to these animals and now we cannot? And I think it's frequency. And I think it's we are on different wavelengths, literally. We're on different frequencies. And they debase a lot of these sayings like, oh, you're just speaking hippie, you're a dirty hippie, that hippie movement, that hippie language. The CIA co opted that. Stop. Stop. That's often, they will get, that's called gaslighting, where you undermine the messenger just to get people to not listen to the message. And again, in the beginning of this video, I was not getting on that person at all. And I was not saying that that was not, it might be true about him. I don't know. But when somebody tells you something like that, or when you hear something like that about a person, nowadays in this time, with the way as crazy as this society is, if they're pointing fingers at somebody, you should probably start looking deeper at that person. Because they're either very wicked or they know something that the rest of the world doesn't want you to know. That's why they're trying to ruin their credibility. But I think that's what it is. And I think that the 5G acts as some type of cloak so that these things could wake up and be walking around us. Because I've seen the signs of it. You've seen the trees parting like somebody's walking through them, but nothing's there. Come on now, that's not wind. Wind don't do that. You know that. We've seen the videos by now, most of us. I showed them on this channel for the first time on 2019, before TikTok or any of that stuff was big. I showed you the videos from Mexico, from the alleged earthquake down there. The earthquake that only messed up one building that looked like they had fruit offerings in a giant pool. They had like all these bananas in a pool, and they showed the pool going back and forth, and they showed this one building floor by floor being ruined, like something was in there, like ransacking it. Learn to look and listen and use your own senses again, because now you might as well be walking around with a blindfold, because now it seems like we're allowing people, not only are they saying you didn't see that, you didn't hear that, you don't know what you're talking about, you didn't touch that, you don't know what that is. Are we seriously going to let them do that? It's one thing to say you don't know that. You don't know that for sure. You don't know that. Okay, maybe I don't know that. It's another thing to tell somebody all the time, you didn't see that. You didn't hear that. I've had that done to me for 6 years about everything that's come out of my mouth. If I am that wrong of a person, I am seriously delusional, and you should take me to get help if you loved me. But you don't, and you haven't, because you know I'm not. I'm personally tired of all these lies. And if the information is out there, I'm going to find it about whatever it is that we need to know about truth. But I'm darn well not going to be eating the meat around here no more if I don't know what it is. And it seems to me that the animals at this time should be our allies. Because if we are in the end times, it's much better than them having them come out of the fields and attacking us, like scripture, like prophecy says they will do. So again, I know this is a strange topic. Didn't Pinocchio get turned into a donkey? It wasn't Pinocchio, it was one of the friends he was with. Him and his friends thought they were going to have more fun when he left the rules in the house of his father, because his father had too many rules and he wanted to control his life, right? Sounds kind of like Lucifer leaving heaven, leaving his father. So he went out with his buddies, and they met a nice old man, a fine old man, a man who would let them do whatever they wanted. All they had to do is go to Treasure Island, not Treasure Island, whatever, that's Peter Pan, same concept. All they had to do was go to Carnival. Maybe they didn't want to go to Carnival. Tough, you're going to Carnival. So then they got trafficked. Pinocchio's got a lot in it, man. Pinocchio is the story of Christ. Christ is in every story, every single story. But yeah, Pinocchio gets trafficked. He leaves home. He comes back home like the prodigal child. Pinocchio is like the biblical story. He gets swallowed by a whale. The whole story is the Bible. Why do you think they're dogging Disney now? Why do you think they don't want you letting your children watch the movies? Because I said that a couple of years ago on the original channel. I did the video about Pinocchio. One of the best videos I ever did. They liked it. People liked it. People started looking. People started talking. People started spreading the message. Disney might very well have been a crazy nut job. I don't know. They might very well have a crazy 33 club. But at one time, all of his stories told the biblical story. Pinocchio has it all. He gets swallowed by the whale. He leaves his father's mansion for better, whatever. He comes back the prodigal child, broken and heartbroken and whatnot. He has the conscience. He has the angel on his shoulder and the devil on his shoulder. All of it. Pinocchio's a good movie, man. I'm going to keep looking into this stuff. But like I said, I'd be very careful about what you consume at this time. And there's a reason, like these, we've got to start asking questions about everything. Everything that we think we know that's just a given to us at this time. And I don't want to disillusion anyone else. It's a horrible thing to be disillusioned. There's a reason I've come back to my childhood and all these stories. Unfortunately, it's not much escapism because it's pointing me to, hey, this is what's happening and this is what's happening. And God doesn't care where you're at right now. He's going to meet you where you're at. Whether you're on the computer, whether you're stuck in the sports paradigm, the political paradigm, the entertainment paradigm, whether you're a farmer, a grower, a nurse, a doctor, God is going to meet you where you're at. You got to be ready. You should be ready. Don't be like me. Don't be unprepared. Don't fail your test. Pass your tests. You never know who's behind the eyes you're talking to. I recognize them now, as sad as that is. God is still in control, and I would hate to say anything to disillusion you or to disrespect the system he already has here. But I don't think we're supposed to sit still for this. I don't think we're supposed to just let this happen. I don't think we're supposed to be violent either. I don't think we're supposed to participate. And a lot of people don't want to hear that. A lot of people don't want to leave the coziness of their home. I don't want to. It's not even my home and I don't want to leave it. But it might come to that. It's probably going to come to that for a lot of us. You're going to have to say goodbye to a lot of stuff. There's a reason I don't own nothing now. As a Christian, like if you're really following Christ, you're really not supposed to be that tied to material objects like that. It should all be about relationship with each other and how you interact with this place. It has nothing to do with the crap you have. And the crap you have will make things harder. Because when the Romans come to take it from you, or they come to tax you for having it, then you're easily manipulated. And then you have to compromise your conscience to keep your house or to keep your car. I'd rather not go through all that myself. Yeah, maybe you're wiser than me. Hopefully you are. But I'd rather just not have it to begin with. That way there is no pain, right? I don't have to tear off the Band-Aid. And the things and people that matter to me, some of them I've kept away from me on purpose because I don't want them attacked in my stead. And I don't consent to that. If you're going to persecute somebody, persecute me. You don't persecute my children because you hate me. They don't even like me, so it's not going to teach them anything. We need to ask questions about everything. We need to not participate as much as possible. We need to shut them off and not give them any of our attention because that's what they crave. And if you don't know about it, you can't be held accountable to it. And it goes with their media too. Shut it off. That's what I've been doing. As much as I, you know what I mean? I don't care who, like, I know the Antichrist spirit's here. I know it talks to me. I know what time we're in. I don't need their media to tell me anymore. I don't need the Zionists to point to some state of Israel that's a freaking sound set in a stage so that they can funnel money and launder money. Man, I don't care about none of that. And if you're still buying into it, I mean, that's your business. Doesn't make you a good person. Just makes you easily fooled. And I know because I was there. I love God. I love Christ with all my heart. I love people with all my heart. I love my family with all my heart. But truth matters. Truth matters, and we should not be deceiving each other, and we should not be expecting each other to swallow lies and live lies. And we should stop hurting and traumatizing each other by expecting each other to live in situations that we don't want to live in. And most of it, yes, is women. Most of us live lives we don't want to live, work jobs we don't want to work, get told we have to have two incomes. No, you don't. Have to pay taxes and die. No, you don't. I'm almost convinced that this whole thing has been a simulation. Not electronic, mind you, but a training course for us. Because this isn't it. This isn't it. Thank God. But this isn't it. This is training. This is a boot camp. Hoo-yah. Hopefully we get a break at the end for a little while before we move on to the next thing. Be kind. Do something different. Change the pattern in your life. That's a big one. You do so many things a day that you don't even realize are part of a pattern, and you're making yourself a part of this beast system by placating the algorithm that way. You are a free-willed being. Don't do things just because they are routine or pattern. You know, another word for that is ritual. Everyone says today, "Oh, that's a ritual. Oh, they're doing rituals. Oh, that's a ritual." Man, you do rituals every day. It's a routine. That's what a ritual is. It's who are you worshiping when you do your ritual. You have a morning ritual every day. You get up, you go to the bathroom, you get your coffee, sit on the porch, watch your birds, brush your teeth, whatever. That's a ritual. We need to stop judging each other about the superficial things that are unimportant. Judge righteously, as Christ told us, by fruits, by the heart of a person, by their intent. And yes, we should judge people, not judge their salvation. Judge whether or not we want them in our lives, surely. Don't let anyone and everyone in your life, in your door, in your family. You should be judgmental in that way, in those ways. I don't know why I left that up while I'm just sitting here talking. Sorry. Sometimes I forget I just have a regular camera that works. Sort of. I mean, it's old, but whatever. There we go. Look at my ugly mug for a couple minutes. All right, so what can I tell you today? If it's the last moment I ever saw you, be kind. You don't know as much as you think you do. Other people don't hurt the same way you do. Give them grace, even and especially when they don't deserve it. Give them grace, anyways, because God gives it to you and you're not supposed to hoard it. It should flow from your cup directly into somebody else's, and so on and so forth. You should be able to picture that in your mind. One cup, another cup, another cup, another cup. Ask questions about everything. Don't trust so easily. There's no rule that says you have to trust. You can still be kind and cautiously suspicious at the same time. Absolutely. Giving in to somebody else's manipulations is sometimes, but definitely not always, the honorable thing to do. What do I mean by that? This is for moms and women especially. You're not doing a noble or an honorable thing when you sacrificed your actual well being for them. I don't mean your physical life. I mean your morals, your values, your ethic, you as a person. If you start to deteriorate, a sacrifice is only a sacrifice as long as it's valued. Otherwise, it doesn't count, anyways. So stop giving of yourself when you don't have to. But we are called to love everyone. So even when you hate people, you hate the things that they do and the way they're behaving, the way they make you feel, pray for them through that place where you love them at the same time. Love them through that moment of hate. The next time you do something for them, think of that one thing that made you love them. And if there's somebody out there that you do hate, find one thing in them, one redeemable characteristic to like, and pray for them because of that reason. That's how you pray for your enemies. That's how you learn to love when your heart's been broke and seared and you've been so traumatized and hurt that all you want to do is sit in the corner, pull your shirt over your knees, and pull your hood up and suck your thumb. I know, because I'm there and I'm an adult and I want to do it. We need to do better. We need to have real organic conversations, and we need to get off of autopilot because we're not machines. We need to give each other grace and not expect so much, but we need to expect more from each other. What do I mean by that? Expect less bullshit from people. If somebody forgets their manners, forgets your work schedule, forgets to say thank you, don't hold it against them. These are hard, challenging times. Expect more from them as a soul and a spirit that you love. If you see them being selfish and you know they're not normally that way, let them know that you're watching and that you expect more of them. Gently, in love. We have a lot of hurting people out there now. And that stuff bleeds out and it goes forth into the ether, into our society, into our churches and our homes. And I talked about this at the beginning, but I like to close things out the same way that I start them a little bit. I watched my trauma leak out into the public stage. Ask yourself, if you're one of those people and you're here just because you dislike me, why are you watching me? Why do you harass me? Or if you're a person who does that to anyone else, examine yourself. When you're alone, ask yourself why you do these things. Is it for money? Surely there's better ways to earn money. Is it for popularity? Surely there's better people to be popular amongst. We've got to expect more from ourselves as a collective society. And we have to stop accepting the bully mentality. Oh, you're a victim. That's victim mentality. Man, just stop it. Stop it. Stop bullying people. There won't be any victims. Stop traumatizing people. There won't be any victims. Stop beating on old men in the streets. There won't be any victims. Stop beating on women. There won't be any victims. Stop ending prostitutes. There won't be any victims. Stop trafficking children. There won't be any victims. And there won't be victim mentality. We have to do better. Are pigs people? Did they used to be people? I don't know, but we need to start holding these people accountable, all of them. The bullies, the mad scientists, people doing genetic experimentation. I do not want to be beside these terrors when judgment comes. God said he did it like that on purpose. But are we just supposed to sit down and accept it? And again, I'm not promoting violence. There is a way to go about this with no violence at all. And it's the thing they hate the most. Exposure and ignorance. And by ignorance, I mean ignoring them, lack of attention. Give them none. We are dealing with children. Nephilim children, but children nonetheless. You guys have a blessed day. I love you. It'll be a better topic next time, I hope. I missed a whole bunch of stuff. The Bible talks about dog people, goat people. Absolutely. Human and animal hybrids. Absolutely. Yes, I agree. Targeted truther. Girl, I'm sorry I didn't answer these before. Yes, I've seen your comments, and I've replied to your comments when you do comment. So check back in. It doesn't always let me tag people. Imagine that. That's how it works. Oh, little girl, be nice. Do you hear how mean she is? It's not the bully I have problems with. It's her. She's mean. All right, guys. Have a blessed day. I hope this was a little better. I have a small, cheap ring light. It's so dark in here today because of the rain. I'm having a rough week. I could use some prayers. My plants aren't doing great. I'm probably going to have to replant everything, which means I'm not going to have any food. I'm going to have to pay for my food, which is what it is. But that kind of sucks. I really wanted to feed myself. I am thinking of attaching a PayPal only because things are hard now and camping is $35 a night. And I feel like if I don't get out of this house, I might disappear. So I love you guys. Have a blessed day. Oh my, I'm looking that up now. Not sure what one you're looking up. Have a blessed day. Bye. Have a blessed day, guys. Bye. Oh, you